Today, we're going to talk about how to coach people up. How do you coach someone up? Like Santiago, for example, from 17 years old to my right-hand man at Phenomenal Products. How do you coach someone up from 19 to 40 years old? Johan, who is my right-hand man at my service company. And this gives me a lot of freedom. This is what we're going to talk about today. Now, of course, leadership, our definition of leadership is effectively communicating your vision. The only better way of communicating other than coaching is community, and community includes coaching. Phenomenal leadership is creating a meaningful experience that inspires the team to implement. That's community. So if we want to effectively communicate, we have to be better coaches. In fact, John Maxwell said, if you can't coach, you can't lead. If you can't coach effectively, you can't lead effectively. If you can't coach, you're not going to develop community in your company. Now, a couple questions here. Our org chart here is one of our most important tools. And the reason it's such an important tool is because it gives everybody a vision of their role in the company, and it helps you think about what part of the business do you want to be in. Of course, down here at the bottom, as we recall, that's working in the business. Managing is making sure that everything's getting done. It's working in the business and on the business. You're running reports, you're supervising people, you're shoring up what they didn't get done right or whatever. And then directing is planning the business, working on the business. And then, of course, if you want to have a turnkey operation, then you're not even going to be on the org chart. You're going to own that business, sort of like a piece of investment real estate. Now, it's more important than that because people are involved. And that's my next question. My first question is, where do you want to be on this chart, or you want to be off that chart? The second question is, who's going to fill your role? Who's going to fill your role? Coaching people up. These are people who are winning. So both Santiago and Johan started right here in operations at the very entry level, and they moved up to become a manager, then moved up to become a director. And so who are those people who are in the game? Who are the people who get it, that want it and have the capacity, and who have demonstrated an ability to communicate with other people? They've shown some leadership ability. Now they have to be developed. Both Johan and Santiago will tell you that they have been developed. They developed themselves. They put themselves in situations where they are developed, and I put them in situations where they're developed. We talk a lot about systems, but there's three parts. There's the systems, and then there's the people, and then there's the leadership. In fact, in Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0, B 2.0, Jim Collins says that great vision without great people is irrelevant. Great vision without great people is irrelevant. You need people that can take over for you and can replace you every step of the way until you get in the position that you want to be in. And then if you're going to expand from there, you need people to help you out. So they asked this question in B 2.0, and that question is, what percentage of key seats do you have filled with the right people? If your answer is less than 90%, you've just identified your number one priority. By the way, if you develop the right people, they'll help you build the systems. To build a truly great company, you'll need to strive for having 90% of your key seats filled with the right people. Jim Collins said this. He said, the most important decisions that business people make are not what decisions, but who decisions. Who decisions. You can have the best systems in the world, but if you don't have people who get it, in other words, people who see the vision, people who want it, people who want to be involved, who have the desire to grow, and the people who have the capacity, in other words, that, as we discussed in this leadership training already in one of the previous modules, you get the right person on the bus, then you get them in the right seat. You got your DISC model, you got their personality style, you got their gifts, get them in the right seat. Who decisions? Who needs to be on your team? We all understand that if you hire the wrong person, it doesn't matter what kind of systems you have. It doesn't matter what you do. It's just not going to work. Can I get an amen on that one? But guess what? We hire the wrong people out of desperation, or, we're in a hurry or whatever. And then we keep the wrong people because we feel like it's going to hurt too much if we let that person go. But can I tell you something? The short-term pain of letting that person go is a lot better than enduring the long-term pain of keeping that person there. Long-term pain. It's like the old hound dog. The farmer was sitting on a porch with an old hound dog, and the hound dog was moaning and carrying on. The mailman walked up to deliver the mail, and he said, "Sir, what's the matter with your dog?" He said, "Well, I think he's laying on a nail." And he said, "Well, how come he don't get up?" He said, "Well, I guess it don't hurt enough yet." I mean, we will endure some pain, won't we? Over a long period of time. Just need to rip that Band-Aid off sometime. I can't believe what Brian Tracy said. I've heard him say this more than once. Brian Tracy said, you should fire someone the second you think about it. Like, if you think about firing someone, that person is not an A player and shouldn't be on your team. Fire them immediately. I'm like, what? And by the way, if you keep people on your team that you know are not the right fit, you're also keeping them from their dream and their purpose. Maybe they'll be successful somewhere else. Maybe they won't. Maybe they just haven't figured themselves out yet, and they're not going to be good anywhere they go. But at the same time, you know that they're not the right person for your team. They're not the right fit. Most of the time, they know it too. The most important thing you can do as a leader, as Jim Collins says, is develop people. Develop them, not just technically, not just that they're better at their technical job. That's great. If they're a master dog groomer, I don't know if that's what you call it, but that's awesome. Okay. But developing people as leaders, and a leader as a coach. This is like the most powerful thing in this whole program. And the inner game was invented by a guy by the name of Timothy Galloway. And he developed what he called the inner game of tennis. And the inner game, instead of like traditional coaching, hold the racket like this, stand like this, and then swing like that. What his discovery was that when he got into the mind of the player and had them focus on certain things like how far was the ball when it away from you when you went to hit it, which way was it spinning, and just all these different things that would focus on controlling the distractions. Because if you're thinking about how you're holding your racket, you're not keeping your eye on the ball. But if I just tell you, keep your eye on the ball, keep your eye on the ball, it's not going to work out as well as you're thinking through, okay, how fast is the ball coming? Which way is it spinning? And things like that. So he created, so what the guy who developed this program took the inner game of tennis, the inner game of golf, and applied it to coaching. The inner game equation goes like this: performance equals potential minus interference. And you're bringing people on that have potential. Everybody has potential, but you're bringing people onto your team that have potential. They have the right gifts, the right personality, and the key is to eliminate as much interference as possible. And as they say in this program, internal obstacles are often far more daunting than external ones. The inner game. So both the inner game and coaching focus on improving performance by growing potential. The more practice you have, the more potential you have. And by decreasing interference, internal obstacles. If I'm off, my family knows when I'm off, there's usually some sort of internal distraction that has to do with a relationship. We all have potential. We're all born to win, designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, endowed with the seeds of greatness. After all, God don't make no junk. Everybody here and everybody on your team and everybody in the world, everybody that you'll ever meet is a phenomenal product created to be phenomenal, do phenomenal things, and to have a phenomenal life. Amen or amen? But some people, and all of us to a certain degree, have not stepped up to become the person that we're created to be, to become the business owner that we can be, or in your team's case, to be that team member that they need to be. Therefore, the total amount of our potential that we normally express is only 40%. And the principal inner obstacle that prevents our potential from manifesting itself is fear. Now I have a question for you. Is fear external or internal? Internal. We worry about, if I fire this person, or if this person quits, or if we don't make enough money, or if, what somebody thinks about me. We have all sorts of fear. All sorts of fears, even if we're not aware of them. The essence of coaching is that, as they say in Coaching for Performance, we can see from all this that Galway had put his finger on the essence of coaching. Indeed, my definition of coaching describes the link to the inner game and all it stands for. Coaching is unlocking people's potential to maximize their own performance. I would write that down. I would screenshot that. I think we all should memorize this. We should all keep this in mind. And by the way, you're always coaching. You're not just coaching when somebody misses the mark. Every conversation you have with someone, you're coaching. Everything that you do that people see or hear or feel is coaching. So coaching is helping people learn rather than teaching them. There's a tremendous difference between consulting and coaching, as Christian pointed out earlier. There's a difference between teaching and coaching. They're all important, right? So teaching, coaching, mentoring, it's all important. It's all important. And we do a mixture of all of it here. But when you're wanting to move someone up and you're wanting to develop someone, coaching is the key. And you're not going to be an effective coach if you don't believe in the people that you're coaching. This is such a powerful paragraph right here. As a coach or leader, the effectiveness of what you do depends in large measure on your beliefs about human potential. The expressions "to get the best out of someone," your hidden potential, imply that more lies within that person waiting to be released. Here it is. Unless you believe that people possess more capability than they're currently expressing, you will not be able to help them express it. Leaders must think of team members in terms of their potential, not their past performance. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen business owners basically tear their people down, basically tell them that they're worthless, and expect them to turn around and perform. And one of the reasons is, man, if I pat them on the back, if I encourage them, they're just going to keep messing up. I covered that last week, how you do that. You coach them up or you coach them out. That's step one. But the people that you keep, you believe in them. If you didn't believe in them, they wouldn't be there. Show them that you believe in them. The majority of appraisal systems are seriously flawed for this reason. People are put into performance boxes from which it is hard for them to escape. Judgmental management, either in their own eyes or those of their leader. You can't create true high performance. We're going to look at that in a minute. What does that really look like? In a negative environment. You can create individual performance. That's corporate America. Corporate America, I mean, individual, amazing, like, whew, nasty people. But man, they make a lot of money or whatever. But the rest of their life is messed up. Their culture's messed up. Let me prove it to you. 70% of American workers are disengaged. 18% of the 70% are actively disengaged. Why? Because they hate their job, they hate their company, and they hate their life for, trading, money and status and power for peace. Chris and I were talking about that last night. People want peace, but some people just are so power hungry, they never have peace. And they don't want anybody around them to have peace. A coaching culture, here's what it looks like. This is what is called the performance curve, where you go from a reactive leader that's always fighting fires to a transformational leader where we're truly successful together. That's a community. So here's what it looks like. So first you ask yourself, what culture stage is your team at in the performance curve? Impulsive, dependent, independent, or interdependent. Impulsive, we're just reacting. Dependent, I just follow the rules. I do what I'm told. That's not really a leader, actually. As the interference is high, the potential is low. Over here, the interference is low, the potential is high. The central premise of coaching for performance is that high performance and coaching comes out of awareness and responsibility. To achieve this requires foundational coaching skills of powerful questioning and active listening. In fact, coaching is emotional intelligence in practice. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is twice as important as cognitive ability, or IQ, in predicting outstanding performance, is what Daniel Goleman says. Daniel Goleman is the father of emotional intelligence. He put emotional intelligence on the map as becoming aware of yourself and other people. And he also wrote a phenomenal book called Focus. At the end of the day, it's about focusing, staying focused on where you're going, how you're progressing, how you're thinking, acting, and feeling. And of course, those of us who are believers, where's God leading us? What's God telling us? Emotional intelligence, awareness and responsibility. Awareness and responsibility. That goes back to last week, the 5 questions that I asked. Are you aware that this is your job? Do you know how to do it? Creating a lot of awareness. And are you willing to do it? Accountability. Okay, module 4, the leader as coach. Leaders must be experienced as a support by their team, not as a threat. Remember, support, encouragement, and accountability. Accountability in our book is not, did you do your job? Where's your checklist? Where's your paperwork? Accountability in our world is, how can I help you be a better person? How can I help you become the person, the leader that you need to be, so that you can do the things that you need to do, so that you can have the role, the experience, the dream, the goal that you are looking for and called to, so that you can give back to other people.